We're going to learn a lot. I'd like to welcome Lauren Terry to Nyberg. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
And doing some very important work for a lot of folks across the country. You have a child, Liam, who has autism. Tell me what flavor?
What flavor? Liam is on the severe end of the spectrum. Autism is a spectrum disorder. There are those who are very highly functional. They're known as Asperger's, and very often they have some savant-like qualities. They can play an expert piano, or they can paint a picture, or they can run for miles, or they can shoot baskets from center court. And then you have others who are more severe, which is sort of where my Liam is. But his teachers have done a wonderful work with him. But, you know, they have gross motor skills issues. They have fine motor skills issues. They have cognitive deficits. They can't remember which way to get dressed. If they wander off the property, they risk getting lost.
You developed a line of clothing called Independence Day. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But first I want to ask you, nobody is prepared to have a child like this. Tell me what it is like to be a parent of a child like Liam.
First of all, he is the love of my life.
He's your oldest. You have
he's my
also
oldest.
A set of twins.
He is my oldest. He is the love of my life. Having said that, children with autism get diagnosed approximately 22 months, 24 months, unless the parents are in denial and it goes on much longer. But Liam was diagnosed at 22 months, and at 22 months, everything stops. Your world stops. All those little things that you took for granted, getting a driver's license, going to the prom, trying out for Little League, getting into a typical preschool, which in New York City is a big deal, which is where we lived at the time. All of those things come to a crashing halt. And all of a sudden you are faced with nameless, faceless people who tell you that they need therapy in the home, therapy that costs $145 an hour, and that they need 30 to 40 hours a week of it. You are told they need speech. All of a sudden you learn initials. What is PT? What is OT? What is ABA? Well, PT is physical therapy, OT is occupational therapy, ABA is applied behavior analysis. These are the cornerstones of autism education. By the time your child is 2, he is working a 40-hour-a-week job, a job of rewiring his brain in hopes of just being able to wire his brain enough so that we can take him out in public, enough so that he can eat with a fork or say, "Hi, Mom."
Does the general public understand what you have to go through on a day-to-day basis, do you think? Do they have any idea?
I think the general public is getting better, but there are so many crazy stories I could tell you, but I'll just give you a great for instance. I was on the M10 bus going up Central Park West, which is where we lived in New York City, and my son was unable to sit still, and he was making these annoying sounds. And this woman with 5 shopping bags from Bergdorf Goodman's was sitting across from me, and she finally looked at me and she said, "Can't you control your child? And why does he make those sounds?" And I had to say, I don't know why he makes those sounds, but he's doing the best he can. He has autism. And she was not satisfied, and she just said, "Well, then he shouldn't be on this bus." Scenarios like that happen a lot. They still do.
Fast forward, you are at home one day and you're trying to figure out, you're seeing your child struggle to get dressed, and you decide to jump into the retail business, for lack of a better term. How did you go there? How did you make that
Well,
leap?
it wasn't that I was home one day. It was a dawning. It was 11 years of Liam getting up every morning and going over to his drawer and putting on his pants backwards or his shirt on backwards. Algorithmically, he had a 50% chance of getting things on wrong. And every time he gets something on wrong, you have to say, "No, that's wrong," and try again, and then the tantrums, and then the tears, and then you have 2 other kids saying, "Mom, where are my Cheerios?" And you say, "Forget it, you can't, eat on your own because I'm trying to get this kid dressed." And the easy way would be just to get him dressed as if he were a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. But now he's 6, he's 7, he's 8, he's 9. And if he doesn't learn how to get dressed by himself, what's he going to be able to do when I'm dead and gone? What's he going to be able to do when he lives in a group home and there is nobody to help him get dressed? He has to learn how to get dressed. If you can't get dressed, you can't go out of the house, you can't get on the bus, you can't do anything. It's one of these things that I couldn't believe that nobody had said, what are we going to do to help these kids? What we saw instead were a lot of kids in Liam's category wearing baggy blue sweatpants and monochrome t-shirts that may or may not be inside out, because they don't have the fine and gross motor skills to button a fly or zip a zipper or tell which side is right. And so 11 years of in my head saying something should be done, somebody far smarter than I am is going to come up with the greatest idea, and then nobody did. So Then I went to the major designers and the major retailers, and I said, hi, there are 4.3 million kids with autism, but there are 54 million Americans with disabilities, 54 million. And that includes Alzheimer's, cerebral palsy, spinal cord injuries, muscular dystrophy, Alzheimer's, range of motion issues. And they can't get dressed in the typical Hilfiger and typical Ralph Lauren and typical Lilly Pulitzer.
Or just get dressed at all.
Just get dressed at all. Gee, is there something you're planning on doing about this? And the responses that I kept getting were, gee, catering to special needs and elderly, it's really not sexy enough for our brand. And so when I got over my anger, I said, I got to do something about this. And so I started this.
And so you did. So let's look at a video about how tough it is to get dressed in the morning and how you have fixed that.
Thanks.
Liam, put on your pants. No, Liam, that's on backwards. Still backwards. Oops, try again. Okay, Liam, let me button your pants. The bus is already here. Hurry now, put your shirt on. No, Liam, that's backwards. No, Liam, that's backwards. This time, Liam is putting on Independence Day clothing. He doesn't need anyone's help. No matter how he puts that shirt on, it'll be correct. Shirt is on! Nice job, Liam! These look like regular cargo pants, and they are regular cargo pants, except there's no front, no back, no tags, no zippers, no buttons. Nothing to stop him from dressing all by himself. Look! Liam, you put your pants on all by yourself! Great job! Independence Day clothing, taking dressing time down from 30 minutes to 3.
How many people are applauding you for doing this? Because I can think children with autism, the elderly, folks with dementia. Do you ever pinch yourself and say, I did that, I got it done?
I'm not there yet. I'm just getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day and just getting it done. But we did sell out our first line, so
where do we
we're very
find
happy
this?
about
Only
that.
online?
IndependenceDayClothing.com is the only place you can find it right now. I've got an inbox of 22,000 emails saying, 22,000, saying, where have you been? When are you coming out with more? When are you coming out in kitty sizes? When are you coming out with extra large and double extra large? And when are you going to come out with more mature patterns? And all of that stuff is in the works. But we were just very gratified. I mean, you throw it out there, you do a little bit of promotion, and you see who bites. And you know, at least
22,000 people are waiting for you to get
right,
going.
Right. So it's been good.
Other ideas that you have for this clothing?
I have so many ideas. Right now, I went with a preppy look, as you can tell. I ripped off the Lilly Pulitzer. And I do mean rip off. I mean, I am not a fashionista. I'm not a designer. What I did was I took the Lilly. I'm a mom, and I said I can make a few tweaks. I can take Lilly Pulitzer, I can take Calvin Klein, I can take Hilfiger, and I can tweak it. I can lose the buttons, lose the zippers, lose the anything, just whether it's a lace up or something, and I can make it accessible to 54 million people. That's a market.
All right, Lauren, let's start looking at this.
Okay.
Describe this shirt for me.
This is your typical rugby pullover, except that it does not have buttons down the front, okay? And it doesn't have the big collar, because as you just saw in that video, that collar is going to end up in somebody's mouth, as you can see with Liam's. But also, so it's easy to put on. This neckline, it's the front. This front is the back. the back is the front. You cannot tell the difference. So any way you drop it and any way you put it on,
and it's reversible.
it's correct. And you know what? If it comes out of the laundry and it comes out this side, you're going with a solid color that day. So there's really, it's foolproof. There's no way you can't.
Because you watched
Watching
Liam.
my son get dressed for 11 years and being frustrated for 11 years, I decided there's got to be a better way.
Is there some contentment with him that he's getting dressed on his own?
Well, first of all, he gets dressed in 3 minutes now as opposed to 30 minutes.
As
so
we saw on the
I
clock.
get 27 minutes back from my life, which means I get to be cheerful and say good morning, and I get to, I don't have to rush everybody quite so much. So it's given everybody a better frame of mind. Nobody has to start the day under a cloud because of that. But the other thing about this that I really wanted to show you before we moved on is
this little number right here.
that little
which is
number
what?
right there. This is our current model of our GPS. And the reason we have this GPS fits in this little compartment right here. And that's maybe not so special, except before this came along, kids were having to wear GPS devices around their neck, around their wrist, around their ankle.
Because they wander away.
Because they wander away. 48% of the autism population is at risk for wandering every single day. That translates to 2 million people could be walking the streets.
Do you know how many people with dementia are doing that?
Absolutely. The
we
silver
report
alerts
on all the time.
all over the place.
All right, so this is an awesome shirt. Now, this is a dress.
This is a dress.
Same thing, right?
Same thing. Same
No correct
thing.
side.
No correct side. Every way you put it on, it fits. And also, if you spill something on it, we like to call this the dress that grandma buys because real moms don't buy white, but grandmas do. And here's what happens. If something spills, guess what? It is exactly the same on the other side. So if it comes back from the wash that way, or you just can't figure out, if you can put your head through this, you can put this on. You are done. So it's foolproof also.
Amazing. All right, we have more items.
These are leggings. These were just really cute. And what I really loved about these is just feel how soft and smooth they are. I mean, a lot of these kids have sensory issues, which makes putting on a scratchy tag or a scratchy outfit or wool or something, it's just not going to work for them. But it also has this hidden GPS compartment here. So if you want to track them this way. Also, leggings with skirts are very hip right now, but I brought in the legging with skirts just because I thought it was just kind of cute, but I didn't realize I was going to be so on trend. But now you go everywhere and that's what you've got, leggings with skirts. So
what kind of letters do you get from parents now?
Mostly emails I get, mostly written at 3 in the morning, and I know why. Because a lot of times kids with autism have sleeping issues, and so they're up wandering around at 3 a.m. And I get the letters that say, my son is now 20. Where were you 15 years ago? My child wandered away on a camping trip 2 years ago. We haven't left the house since. Now we think we're going to try it because we've got your clothes and we've got the GPS. I've also got a bunch of people saying, gee, this is a gold mine, can I invest? Which is also good.
Which is also good, absolutely. We've got a pair of pants. Let's show
pair
those.
of pants. Now these are just your basic cargo pants, which are now becoming the school uniform for a couple of schools in New York City. And what's cool about them is, once again, you cannot put them on backwards. And let me just say something about pants. This has a faux fly, but our rugby shirts come all the way down over it. So nobody even knows whether you've got a button or a fly or not. I kind of like the cute little nautical belt though.
Are those reversible?
These are reversible. They're not, actually, these are fleece lined. Feel how soft they are.
Right.
So there's no way your kid's going to become uncomfortable. A lot of kids with autism, they have issues with taking off their clothes
and
in
the
public,
smallest things
because they're not comfortable.
Bug them.
They just bug them, and you never know what it is. And if they're nonverbal like my son is, they can't tell you. So you make a clothing line that absolutely answers every single issue, problem, or complaint they might have, and you solve it. And then you say here, and then guess what? They have a great day.
In your wildest imagination, this is a much different life than you had planned out, I'm sure. What gifts are you being given by this life that you have now?
Oh, wow.
As hard as it is.
It's really the gift of not just seeing Liam be self-sufficient. It's the gift of knowing that 54 million other Americans can be self-sufficient as well. The other gifts that come back to me are just really on, first of all, on the mom level. It's really the moms who get it first. And then it's only the investment community gets it after they see the sales and they see the numbers. Oh, she's really onto something. So I get the gift back. I love to hear from moms. I love to see the kids happy. When my own son can do this, even though I had to beta test it and do focus groups, I knew exactly what the focus groups were going to say because I'd seen it in my own home for years. But then it was nice to be validated like that. But again, Independence Day, the name of the clothing company. It gives my son independence. That's the biggest gift of all. But it gives parents independence too, that maybe they can actually take their child to the park or take their child to the zoo or take their kid on a trip and not have to be worried, because you know what? If that kid's lost in 16 seconds flat, we can trace that kid.
All right, so you grew up as a kid and now you're changing the world. Your thoughts on that?
Wow. I grew up as a kid who wandered anywhere she wanted and kind of wore anything she wanted to wear. So this was something that was totally new. Again, I'm not a fashionista, I'm not a designer. Luckily, I surround myself with people who are far more creative than I am. But it's really just becoming a mom and saying this has to be done. It's leaving a job that was, for which I was well compensated, and a job I loved.
You
But
were a
knowing-
TV news anchor, and you worked at CNN.
I was a financial TV news anchor at CNN, but knowing that this had to be done, and knowing that there were kids out there that needed this, and knowing that no one else was going to do it, I stepped up.
Lauren Terry, such a wonderful thing having you on and telling us about Independence Day clothing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
Spend one this in. Who's this girl? Spend all night kissing, and if one was right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm so wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Things keep locked in the grocery store of the mind. Just to save time, skip right ahead to the last ride. The harder we look, the less